Hey y'all, Andrew Finney here. What would happen if you asked 10 people one question about real estate predictions? Like, do you think the housing market will crash? What do you think they would say? Would you get the same answer or possibly 10 different answers? What would you say? Well, in a recent post by Bankrate, they looked into their crystal ball and discovered 4 useful real estate predictions for this fall. So let's see how they answered the question. Prediction number 1, dramatic housing deceleration. Okay, so Rick Sharga is the Executive Vice President of Market Intelligence for Atom Data Solutions. Rick said the signs are undeniable. The market is cooling dramatically. He notes that the decline is almost entirely due to the impact that increased mortgage rates have had on housing affordability. He mentioned home loan applications are down 23% from 1 year ago. Rick believes home price appreciation is likely to end 2022 in the low single digits, likely in the 2 to 3% range. So suppose home prices do slow down more or even come down. Presumably that might give homebuyers previously priced out of the housing market an opportunity to buy a home if they're ready. It could happen. Consider this Fitch Ratings home price report from the second quarter. They estimate home prices in 89% of major metros are overvalued. I know, that's so shocking, right? Prediction number 2, housing bubble forecast. Naturally, hearing things like this could make people think a housing bubble has formed and that a pop is inevitable. Coming up, we'll talk about the 6 signs of a housing bubble to watch. You be the judge. But for now, let's see what Aditya Kushi, the Deputy Chief Economist for First American Title, has to say. Aditya said, the housing market today is not driven by loose lending standards, subprime mortgages, or homeowners who are highly leveraged. That's interesting because a recent CoreLogic report about homeowner equity found the average equity per homeowner is almost $300,000. Aditya says the house price appreciation in today's housing market is supported by the fundamentals and characterized by a shortage of supply relative to demand. To back her up, Keenan Chen, the Executive Vice President of Corporate Strategy at Clear Capital, has this to say. Keenan said, at a fundamental level, the labor market remains strong, loan delinquency is historically low, and supply is only 57% of where we were at the beginning of 2019. Without a major economic shock, a bubble seems unlikely. Okay, so they don't seem to think a housing bubble is likely without severe economic shock. It looks like the lightning bolt pace of the Fed rate hikes might not be enough. We'll see. Time reveals all. Coming up, we'll talk about how the supply of homes versus a home buying demand affects the housing market. But for now, let's find out who is buying the available homes. Aditya says home buying demand has primarily been driven by millennial first-time home buyers aging into their prime home buying years. Yes, millennials account for roughly 37% of all home buyer activity as seen from this chart. The chart comes from the data supplied by the National Association of Realtors, or NAR for short. So that's the share of homes that went to first-time homebuyers. But what about the other 63% of homes? Where did they go? As it turns out, 56% of all homes sold went to Gen X and boomers. Now, they were likely moving up, down, or possibly into their forever home. As we can see, home buyer demand spans all generations. It's not limited to any generation. Everyone needs a roof over their head. Whether you rent that roof or own it, you gotta have it. That brings up prediction number 4, supply and demand. When it comes to housing demand, it's as strong as ever. The issue is the lack of housing affordability we've seen escalate over the past couple of years. Rick Sharga puts it this way, we have the largest cohort in US history of young adults between 25 and 34, the prime age for household formation and home buying. And this group will continue to propel the demand for the next 2 to 3 years. While this is undoubtedly true, the glaring omission, at least in my opinion, goes back to the chart we just reviewed. It's not just millennials buying homes. We gotta be honest here. The home buyers of today and tomorrow face increased competition for the scarce amount of homes for sale arising not only from other generations, but also the surge of iBuyers and big investors sourcing funds from real estate investment trusts, or REITs for short. This is alarming to me, and I think it should be alarming to everyone. I think anyone who can purchase a home should have the opportunity to buy a house if they want. They shouldn't have to fight with big investors to buy a home. To me, that should be illegal in this country. What we're seeing in the housing market is shameful, at least to me. What do you think? I think Rick hits the nail on the head from the supply side of things. He said homeowners with a sub 4% mortgage rate are opting to stay put rather than buy a home with a more expensive mortgage rate like 6%. In short, it seems Rick believes housing inventory might slowly increase due to homes taking longer to sell rather than a spur of new listing activity just hitting on the market. That's probably because many homeowners also realize they are effectively priced out of the housing market from when they purchased their homes. For every point of view, a view comes into focus that both buyers and sellers are weighing their options and timing carefully. Because of this, there will be an opportunity for serious sellers and buyers to move forward with their life plans if they choose. But one thing's for sure, the real estate market will always go up, down, and all around. The one thing that doesn't change is where someone is in their life when the time is right for them. So it's a matter of clarifying why buying or selling a house is important to you. A growing consensus among housing experts about how housing bubbles form can shed some insight into what could happen as we move forward. They seem to agree a housing market has 6 signs to watch. So what are they? Well, let's go over the list and you be the judge of how many signs we've already blown by. Sign number 1, increasing loan to income levels. Sign number 2, overpriced properties that outpace affordability, inflation, and economic fundamentals. Sign number 3, higher mortgage rates. Sign number 4, lower economic growth. Sign number 5, escalating mortgage balances. And sign number 6, climbing subprime mortgage loan numbers. Let me ask you a question. Would you agree with this list, or do you think the experts are missing something? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. Thank you. Now, if we had more time, but we don't because I'm trying to keep these videos really short for you because I know you're busy and you have a lot going on. So bear with me for a moment and finish it off. We're going to wrap this up in just a moment. If we had more time, we could talk about the Fed rate hike and the demoralizing effect on real estate and our bank accounts. But we don't have the time, so I guess we won't talk about how the Fed got into a hiking competition with themselves. It's like they are trying to beat Heather and Nish Anderson's 8,000 trail miles in 251 days or something. But instead of trail miles, the Fed is going nuts with hiking the rate trail. It seems like the Fed wants to set a new record. Perhaps the Fed aims to jump the rate faster than any other point in recent history, potentially propelling the Fed funds rate past the 4% marker or more by the end of 2022. I know, right? We're all holding our breath for that one. Yay! If I could keep your attention just a little bit longer, we would talk about the surprising opportunities in the housing market. So if you would like to chat about this another time, just let me know. But for now, let's move on. Should you buy a house with all the turbulence in the housing market and economy right now? Some say yes, some say no. Honestly, it's really up to you if it makes sense. Get in touch with yourself about why buying a home is important to you. It's not like renting a place is any better right now with many landlords keeping their rental rates high, but that's a different story. Suppose you're planning on getting married, raising a family, or simply wanting some predictability with your monthly housing cost. In that case, you might be considering buying a house because a certain amount of stability comes with owning a home, but home ownership isn't for everyone. Look, my only concern is you. So please think through your decision and don't bite off more than you could chew no matter what you decide. So before you straddle yourself with a high interest rate mortgage, maybe it's worth considering your option. Maybe that's why 72% of homebuyers regret their home buying decision. They didn't think it through, but you can by clicking here. You'll get some ideas that will help you through buying a house. Oh, are you still here? Well, that's weird. Just click here and we'll catch up there.